What's up, gays? It's your girl Rose. That's right, I am back to YouTube, hopefully. I just wanted to apologize really quick before we get started with today's video for being gone for so long. And I also wanted to introduce you guys to a new group channel that I'm actually part of. I'm super excited for it. We're going to be doing urban exploring, ghost challenges, everything of that nature, very similar to this channel, but with some really awesome people. I'm linking to that channel in the description. We have one video up. It is exploring a haunted church. It's gonna be really great, so it would mean a lot if you guys wanted to go ahead and check that out and subscribe to that channel as well as this one. So without further ado, here are some super creepy Reddit stories, because I'm that original. I'm fairly new to Reddit, so please bear with me. This event happened about a year ago. Nothing like this has ever happened to me before. However, similar events have happened in the years since. This is the only time other people were involved, though. So me, my boyfriend, and our friend Bob were hanging out at Bob's house, one town over from where me and my boyfriend lived. I was crocheting little patches for a blanket, and the guys were playing video games. We all went out for a cigarette, and when we got back in, I checked my phone. The time was around 7:30, so we settled in, they continued their game, and I continued my crafting. Now these patches took me about 20 minutes each to make, and I had finished 3 of them when Bob suggested we watch a movie. We all had to be up early the next day, so we knew we had to leave around 10 p.m., and were being very conscious of that. While they were trying to pick a movie, I picked up my phone and saw that it was already 9:45. I said, "Oh my God, guys, it's already 9:45. And they both responded with something to the effect of, "Yeah, right." But when they pulled out their phones and saw that I was right, we all got a little creeped out. We discussed how this was possible for the next few minutes. We were positive that it hadn't been that late when we went out to smoke. They had only played one match in their game, in which matches last between 45 minutes to an hour, and I had only made 3 patches, which should have taken me roughly an hour. I was sufficiently creeped out, but I didn't want to say anything about my thoughts on the matter, considering neither of them really believe in anything paranormal. Until Bob spoke up and stuttered, Did we just lose an entire hour somehow?" We basically called it a night at that point, and no one has spoken about it since, but this still really bothers me. Perhaps I'll post again about my other time-related glitches at a later date. Can anyone explain to me what on earth happened? Growing up, there was always this rumor of a sushi place that you can never find on purpose, at least not the first time. It was said to be on this back road about 20 miles removed from the city proper. I heard that story for the first time when some friends and I were taking this specific road up to the mountains, and from that day it had been a legend in my mind. I sought to find it, but like the rumor said, I never could. 10 years after first hearing about it, I mentioned something to a friend of mine, who then completely spazzed out because the same legendary sushi place was talked about amongst her friend group when they were younger. Same city, different high school. It had always become her white whale. We would giggle about it, joke about it, go looking for it, but could never find it. Until we were both having a bad day and chose to escape for a night drive. We were taking turns complaining about the bullshit we had been dealing with, Moby Dick far from our minds, when we see it. It was beautiful. The whole building seemed lit up in red and white and stood out in the night. We started to drive by it, both losing our minds, when I said no. We have to stop. We have to. It was on a road we've driven 100 times, in a spot we've passed 100 times, yet this was the first time it was there. There is a lookout point where we saw it from later that night after we left, and we both mused on how we had never seen the lights, despite being in this very spot many times. I've since given directions to the restaurant to friends and family alike, but no one ever seems to find it. When I go now, it's there, as if it's always been there. Oddly enough, though, when people who have been give directions to this restaurant, they are always slightly different, leading to a slightly different place. Even the business card I took didn't have an address, only a phone number. The food was delicious, by the way. Okay, so I posted in this subreddit before about a small glitch, and as I got to reading more of these, I realized I have one more that's pretty interesting in my opinion. It sounds crazy, but here we go. Firstly, I want to start off with the fact I remember this clear as day. This is one of the most vivid memories I have from my childhood. This happened when I was about 5 or 6 years old. My grandma, my mom, and I were at my house one night. We were all sitting in the living room doing casual stuff like watching TV or just relaxing. All of a sudden, we heard this loud, continuous beeping noise. I know, it sounds weird. The sound was so loud it couldn't be ignored. I remember my mom and grandma looking at each other and asking what it was. For the next 10 minutes or so, we looked everywhere throughout the house for the source of this loud beeping sound. We couldn't find anything, nor could we pinpoint where it was coming from. It seemed to move depending on which part of the house we were in, almost as if moving in the opposite direction that we were. However, it remained to be almost unbearably loud. We ended up back in my room, bewildered, because there was no explanation for this sound. I remember standing in a circle with my mom and grandma. My grandma got really frustrated and yelled, "Stop!" As soon as she yelled, the sound stopped. It never occurred again, and I haven't heard it until this day. I remember we all stood there looking at each other in amazement, trying to make sense of what it was. I also remember we told my grandpa about it when he got home. He too tried to look for something that could have malfunctioned and made this sound, but we found nothing. I remember it was a big deal, and I also remember him poking fun at us for weeks after it happened. I was thinking about this one day and casually brought it up in conversation with my grandma. She states she has no idea what I'm talking about. I was so persistent she was just forgetting that I texted my mom and asked. She too said she didn't remember it. I also asked my grandpa, who said he never inspected for a weird sound and couldn't remember us ever mentioning anything about it. It's just kind of creepy that I remember this so vividly and the other three involved have no recollection.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
And for sticking with me even though I disappeared for like 300 years.
Have you ever experienced an hour that didn't really happen? A restaurant you could never find again? Or just a strange memory that doesn't quite fit? Maybe the other people involved don't remember it the same as you. If so, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear about it.
Thank you guys so much for watching and have a gay day.